Today we're going to write equations for perpendicular lines. So remember, a perpendicular line is a line that there are two lines that intersect at 90 degrees. So these lines would be perpendicular because they intersect at 90 degrees. They have a right angle intersection. When lines are perpendicular, perpendicular lines have opposite, reciprocal, slope, which is just a big fancy way of saying change the sign so if it was positive, make it negative. If it was negative, make it positive. Change the sign and flip the number over. So when you're writing equations for perpendicular lines, you want to use opposite reciprocal slope, or the change of the sign and flip the number. So first, before we start writing equations for lines, let's just practice finding opposite reciprocals of numbers. So if we look at, we have different options here. If we look at these different options and we want to find their opposite reciprocal, A says I have 2/5. So if I want the opposite reciprocal of 2/5, since it's a positive number, I'm going to make it negative, and then I'm literally just going to flip the fraction. So now it's going to be 5/2. The opposite is the negative, the reciprocal part is the flipping of the fraction. So if I want the opposite reciprocal of 1/3, positive 3/1, which can be simplified to just 3. I don't need to write the positive, and I don't need the 1 in the denominator. If I want to find the opposite reciprocal of 4, I know that a fraction, when I have a whole number, if I want to turn it into a fraction, my denominator is 1. Since 4 is already positive, I'm going to make it negative, and then when I flip it, now it's going to become 1/4. Same thing for -1. I'm going to put a 1 in my denominator. When I flip it, now it's going to become positive 1/1, which can be simplified to be just 1. So opposite reciprocal just means you're taking the number that they give you, the slope that you already have, changing the sign, and then flipping the number over. So let's look at an example. If we have two lines, if they give us y equals 4x plus 2, and they give us x plus 4y equals 8, and they want to know if they're perpendicular, we're going to take each line. So we're going to take y equals 4x plus 2, and we're going to take x plus 4y equals 8, and we want to know the slopes of both of them, because if the slopes are opposite reciprocals, then we can decide if they are perpendicular. So I can see right away in this first example, y equals 4x plus 2, the slope of this line is just 4. Now when I look at the second example, when I look at x plus 4y equals 8, I can't pick the slope out of that equation because it's not in y equals, so I need to rewrite that. So I'm going to take my x plus 4y equals 8, and I need to get y all by itself. So the first thing I'm going to do is move the x over, and we did this with parallel lines. It's no different. We just want to get the y to be all by itself so we can pick out the slope. So I take away the x's, bring down the 4y. I know I want my x to come first because I want it to look like my equation over here. So I'm going to write this as negative x plus 8. I wouldn't be wrong if I wrote it as 8 minus x. I just like it to look like y equals mx plus b, so I put my x first. Last thing I need to do is get rid of the 4. So I'm going to divide everything by 4. When I do that, I get y equals negative 1 over 4 x plus 2. So now when I look at it, I can pick out my slope. I see that my slope here is negative 1/4. So I have a slope of negative 1/4. So when I look at a slope of 4 and a slope of 1/4, negative 1/4, I notice one's positive, one is negative. 1/4 is the reciprocal of 4. So these lines are perpendicular. Yes. Perpendicular. Because they have opposite reciprocal slopes. So all you need to look for is that they have opposite reciprocal slopes to decide if they're perpendicular. I could also ask you to write an equation for a perpendicular line. So they're saying write an equation of a line that passes through negative 3, 1 and is perpendicular to y minus 1/2 x equals 3. So they gave me some information. In order to write a line, equation of a line, I know I need a slope and I need a point. So I already noticed that my line that they gave me, the y minus 1/2 x equals 3, is not in y equals mx plus b form. So I need to get it to be there. I need that y value to be all by itself. So I've got to add 1/2 x to both sides so that I can pick out the slope from this equation. So when I add 1/2 x to both sides, it looks scary. It's not that bad because really I'm just going to end up with a positive 1/2 x and a positive 3. And now I can see that my slope of the line that I'm given is 1/2. So my opposite reciprocal is going to be negative 2 over 1, which is just negative 2. So now I have my opposite reciprocal slope, which is negative 2. I have this beautiful point that they already gave me, this 3, negative 1, and I'm just going to plug that into my new favorite line equation, y minus y1 equals mx minus x1, and I know this is my x1 and this is my y1, this is my m. So I'm just going to go into that equation and plug in what I know. I know I have a y minus y1, which is 1, equals m, which is negative 2, x minus negative 3. And remember, minus a negative is 2 negatives make a positive, so that's why I wrote it as plus 3. And that is my final answer. So you're going to use this to help you finish your classwork for today.